This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 617 for the week of Sunday, April 19th, 2020. My name is Zach.
And my name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
On today's episode, we have a very special guest. He is the translator for One Piece in Weekly Shonen Jump and Manga Plus. Stephen Paul's with us. How's it going, Stephen?
And my name is Stephen. Hey, guys. It's good to be here.
I could have just let you do that this week. So we have a really great episode for you guys to fill in the void. We're going to go through volume 96 with Steven here, the whole SBS, all the little secret panda men, all the stuff you love about Steven condensed into this volume 96 recap.
Let's not make some big promises we can't fulfill.
I'm making whatever promises. We're in desperate times. And we also have a double anime recap that we're going to be doing with Sam, which might be the last we're doing for a while. Steven, do you want to, bring some big bad news? Yeah.
So this literally happened within the last hour as of the time we were recording this, that they Toei announced that they are suspending the airing of new One Piece episodes and some other series, I believe, as well. But that for the time being, they will be re-airing the Wano arc from the start. I believe that's what they said is their plan on the the Japanese airwaves. Of course, that doesn't mean anything to us. It just means that we are on an indefinite hiatus for the time being until the situation is updated in some way or form. I don't know. I don't think anybody knows what that means right now, except that we won't be seeing any new episodes for a while.
And a fan, M. Blewett, did make a good point that it only took a global health crisis for One Piece to finally go seasonal. Not quite what's happening here. And also, a friend of the show, Alan, said that it is good to hear for the sake of everyone working on it. There's plenty of other things to do right now. And yeah, obviously, as with everything, health is the number one priority. So I'm happy that if they can't work safely, which I'm sure is difficult in these times, that they're staying at home, which is what everyone should be doing.
In case people weren't aware, when they dub, when they get the Seiyu, all of the Straw Hat voice actors to record a new episode, they are all literally standing in a room around a series of microphones and acting together as the animation plays on a screen. So, not a lot of health considerations you can make in that kind of a scenario. So it makes a lot of sense to me that they would pause on this for now.
Absolutely impossible. Yeah. I mean, we're up to a really, really some of my favorite stuff in the anime, I think, in Act 2 of the Wano manga. So it's kind of a shame, but when it does come, they'll be able to go really fast, which is something One Piece has not been able to do in a while, because they'll hopefully widen this gap between the anime and the manga. It's a potential benefit. Especially after you guys were talking with what's his name just the other week, the guest animator, not Henry, but with Mitchell, was that it? Yeah.
Was that his name? Where he obviously, it's not like he went to a studio in Japan to do that stuff. So it almost makes you wonder, does that mean they'll be able to get ahead on animating stuff if the ability to work remotely still exists for them, and it's just the voice recording that's really taking a toll, or what, who knows.
I hope I'm not calling you out here, Steve, but you're in the animation industry, and you've still been working. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, but it's on my end, it's a completely different process, because
Absolutely.
At least most artists, because what we need is a computer, drawing tablet. A lot of us have those at home, and so that's how I've been able to keep working. But as Stephen pointed out, the whole the way they record the voices.
The way they record the voices.
They record the voices here. No, they record at least the Straw Hat Pirates. Yeah, all in one room, which isn't very common here in the States.
I was going to piggyback off of Steven's point, Steve. In that a lot of Steves. In that. I'm assuming it's still possible for them to actually get the whole episode together except for the voices for One Piece. I mean, I don't know. I know you don't know for sure, but yeah, I assume. So I like the idea that it is possibly still. I mean, we could do some investigating, since again, this literally came out less than an hour of us of right now when we're recording this, so we haven't actually done any proper investigation. But it's possible that they're still animating it and still doing a lot of the production work without the voices, just to create that backlog, which would be great. And it'll at some point. Hopefully the animators get a bit of a reprieve, but it's also, I assume, much easier for voice actors to go back and just, dub through those. Who knows? I know there's a very... go ahead.
We don't know what the animation staff is doing, because from what I could assume, like for the different animation studios that work on One Piece, with the exception of people like Mitchell, who worked freelance, but I think a lot of these animation studios, everyone works in-house, and I don't know if they're doing what I had to do, like they're relocating to work at home. And I don't know, I don't want to speak for everyone in Japan, but it seems like their apartments are a lot smaller than some of ours out here, so I don't know how roomy it is for them to have an office set up to keep drawing and animating. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know, it's their process for producing an animated series might be very, very different than how a lot of animated series in the West are done. So,
that's also true. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if they're taking this time right now to think of strategy, and not just say like, all right, we're not working on it, but we don't know.
Just to add a point on that. I was talking to someone who lives in Japan the other day, and I still don't think a lot of like the social distancing and stay at home stuff has really sunk through, particularly in Tokyo, where and we discussed this, I think, in the last few weeks, where that work culture, like getting to work and showing up at work and making sure people know you're at work and working for long hours. I think people are still doing that. And I don't think the work from home thing, the United States has much of the same issue. I don't think that's really sunk in, the importance of doing that yet.
I think they're just starting to, like, this is the moment that they're all those companies are having those discussions now. Like, well, what can we do to reduce our reliance on in-office work, or what can we outsource to the home office type of stuff.
And I think the whole thing is, with animation, I'm sure most of the technology is there to work from home. And most industries, most industries where you're sitting at a desk. I think that's definitely a possibility.
It's just, the question is just the environment and the work culture, if they will allow that.
Yeah, and those are two big considerations. So, we'll see where things go. I think the voice acting, though, I don't see them doing it the way like Funimation does it, where they separate them in booths and record that. But maybe, that's possible if they feel they need to get the production back underway before this subsides. But we'll see.
Yeah,
everything's kind of on pause. Yeah. And we discussed that, with the manga, we're going to have fingers crossed that everyone can continue doing it while also remaining safe and healthy, obviously. But who knows? I don't want to speculate one way or the other, but who the hell knows? So that being said,
you mentioned what you guys were just doing.
Oh yeah, thank you. I was going to do that too. I just want to make sure there wasn't anything I was railroading. So there's a couple things we're going to try doing during the quarantine. I think a weekly Jackbox maybe Wednesdays, but we'll cement that a little bit more. So we did another Jackbox, Davy Jack Fights, as we're calling it, directly for. I think we opened it up for the public this week, but we'll normally be doing it just for patrons. So you can check that out at patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. We also just recorded, with glitches abound, our live One Piece Stampede commentary, which hopefully will be up on Patreon within the next day or so. And it will be up everywhere. Probably the next manga break, we'll have it on the podcast. And yeah, I hadn't seen Stampede in a while, and I forgot how much of it is that fight. It's that final fight. It's half of it. Anyway, any other thoughts?
No, I'm good.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get started. This is the volume recap for volume 96. I am Odin. I was born to boil. And Steven, going to help take us through this, right?
Oh, yeah.
And before I let you even take through this, I'm going to interrupt you immediately. We're going to have images on this if you have the AAC, or if you're on YouTube when you hear this noise. That means you will see images along with what Steven's talking about. So, Steven, take it away.
All right. Volume 96. And this was a big deal for Shueisha. They were talking about how they had, they'd broken the record once again, obviously by design, with the first printing numbers. What was it? Like 4.7 million copies or something crazy like that. And we'll see as I talk about the content that we are actually, I think when this came out, it was within one chapter of where it is in Jump. It actually goes to the it goes from the middle of of Roger's, or of Oden's flashback, all the way to the chapter with Luffy, Kid, and Law at the end, where they say when you're at sea, you fight pirates. So it was very close to where the manga was at the time.
Yeah.
But the chapter cover was kind of a cool one. It's got the obligatory Luffy in the front, but everyone else is from the flashback, which makes sense because, like I said, it's all but one chapter, 1.5 chapters or so are of the flashback. We got some cool colors, and you got Roger's there, Whitebeard's there, Marco's there. I like Little Buggy and Shanks, where Shanks, like, his head is a little too small for the straw hat. Like, it looks really big on him.
Yeah, I like
it's kind of
that.
funny.
Yeah.
And then young Teach with his nasty look on his face.
We see a lot of poses on this cover that aren't in the manga, like with Teach and the thing, and Marco in his Phoenix mode, and Rayleigh standing in the background. Oh no, wait, he does that. But you get it. Yeah,
it's a neat one too. I kind of like. I don't know what this is supposed to signify, but I like the two-tone colors on the logo and on Oda's name. The kanji that he does these like sort of complementary colors with the teal and pink, and then
maybe it's like past and present, like Luffy representing.
They all look like Starburst colors, which I feel like is an observation I have made in the recent past as well. So, he's really living it up with these colors. And if you take off the cover and look at the under cover, we see that it's not just a Buggy and Shanks that are hanging out, but it's actually the three caballeros. It is Buggy, Shanks, and Panda Man, and they're all shoulder over shoulder hanging out. So there you go. Start your your power levels. Panda Man was shown to be equals with Buggy and Shanks.
Well, to be fair, Buggy and Shanks have very different power levels. So.
Not according to this cover. But we can move on to the author's comment, which is a pretty silly one. It's these. So the picture is these two guys that are curled up. They're doing the 9 and the 6 for 96. And Oda's comment is, Volume 96. If you flip it upside down, it says 69. Just kidding. It still says 96. But if you flip this one or you can flip this one over, but there's no turning back from the upcoming Volume 100 party. 96 begins now. So
there's two things I want to ask, or one thing I want to ask and one thing I want to say. First of all, are there 69 jokes in Japan? Very important question.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they know what the concept is, but I don't think there's like you don't say nice whenever
but
someone says.
No, but there is a comedy wrestler whose gimmick is that he was the 69th junior heavyweight champion, so he gets to do just like pervert jokes.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, so this fits perfectly. Yeah. So Oda, I'm telling. I know
his main
listening.
attack is hitting people with his ass. So
I know Oda's listening, but he'd fit in this podcast just fine. I think if we make that joke every week. I was gonna say, so like Steven, I mean, like, what do you think Oda could do for Volume 100?
I have no idea. I don't know, like, if this is supposed to be indicative of something, or I mean, my gut feeling would say it would just be, a normal volume. It would just probably have some pretty awesome content in it, and maybe there'd be a bunch of like color spreads because they're commemorating that in the manga. Although actually it probably reach it before. It'd probably reach it in volume 99 or so, like chapter 1000. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure they're thinking about it, but maybe like some gold foil on the cover or something like that.
Or like actual color pages, like included.
Yeah.
That
would be nice.
I'm excited. That's gonna be cool. Yeah. I mean, what is that, next year? I think, right?
Probably,
like usually four a year, I think.
Yeah.
Depends on how many chapters get published this year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's the wild card. But as for this volume, it covers, as I said, from chapter 965 through 974. So it is almost entirely flashback. Kind of starts with the clash of Whitebeard and Roger. And as I said, it ends with back in the present with the worst generation showing up after Kanjuro's betrayal. And we will go to the first SBS, which is a great one to kick it off. It is we have a bubble off panel of Oda, his little fish head, and he is saying, let's start the SBS. And then we have a big old drawing of Oden making the face, and he's like, oh, you don't seem to like that. So Oden does not want to start the SBS. And the first reader says, hey, this is my first time in the SBS. By the way, Odachi, I saw that there was a dirty mag with some pretty ladies in it on the ground over there. And then he has in parentheses, Odachi runs off. And now start the SBS. And Oda says, hey, whoa. You can't. What do you mean you just like write Odachi runs off in parentheses? You can't control me like that. That's offensive. And there wasn't anything over there anyways. So he's out of breath from having run over there to look for the dirty mag. The first real question is about Luffy. It says Hesso, belly button. The question is, Luffy gives all kinds of people funny nicknames, but he doesn't give anyone on the crew nicknames. Why is that? And Oda says, I see. Well, you see, the thing about Luffy is just kind of as a general rule, he does not feel interested in learning and memorizing the names of others. So he usually just kind of gives them a nickname based on whatever pops into his head, whatever it is about their impression that they give him that he uses to make up his own nickname for them. But once they join the crew, then obviously, yes, he's going to remember their name. So if he knows your name, he'll call you by your name. That's basically what it boils down to. So there you go. Some of Luffy's his inner secrets. The next question is about the D's. And so this is one I'm probably going to have to just leave in Japanese and put the translation in parentheses, because I was thinking about this and I was like, I don't think there's any way to use the same word. Does the D stand for debeso, which means an outie belly button? I heard that the D stands for debeso. Is this true? And Oda says, yeah, it's true. And then he helpfully gives these like serious icons of Law, Luffy, Blackbeard, and Ace, off to the side, just so you're thinking of them having outie belly buttons. So there you go.
This explains a lot. So the power exudes from the outie.
Yeah. It can't. Yep. It can't be contained.
No, it can't.
And the last question on this page is, Oda Sensei, I've heard. Did you know that February 22nd is Oden Day? So I had the idea, why don't we have that be Kozuki Oden's birthday? And Oda's like, oh, okay, listen up. If you want to just decide all of a sudden on your own, that's the character's birthday, you go right ahead. So it's been a while since he did that, because he usually just leaves it up to the website now. But that seems like a good exception for Oden, since we are in the middle of his flashback. And I didn't know. I wonder if Japanese Twitter has that, on the trending on the day, National Oden Day. Just
I think it will be from now on. Yeah,
on February 22nd. And let's see. Okay, yeah. Then we have the chapter with the Arashi. It's kind of interesting. This volume has two collaboration color spreads in it. It's very strange to flip through One Piece and you see it in illustration and it has like the little copyright things in for the the likenesses. There's the Arashi collaboration, which we all loved, as I seem to recall. Just kidding. And then there was the Hungry Days one, which we actually did love. So those are kind of cool. But the next SBS is our header is from let's say honorary friend of the show, since we never actually interacted with them, 420 Land from Hong Kong.
I saw him post this one too.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I guess I'm wondering if these are supposed to be like the statues in Kumamoto, but it is statues of Usopp and Sanji. And then the B is, I'm not even sure. It's just on the balloon, I guess. But yeah, there's just like statues of them with a bunch of items lying around, piratey looking items. So that's kind of cool. The first question is from someone who says, it says that Nami likes all kinds of fruit, but that she especially likes tangerines. Does she like all, orange-like citrus fruits about the same as tangerines? Or maybe she has like a special attachment to tangerines. Please tell me. And Oda's like, well, you see, Nami's favorite fruit, or her favorite food, and fruit in this case, has to do with her upbringing. If you go back, this would be from around the second half of Volume 7 to the first half of Volume 10 in the Arlong arc. Nami was raised in a place with lots of tangerine fields, and that was the crop that her late mother was raising and was around their house. So out of all the fruits, she loves tangerines especially. Thank you for your postcard. I feel like whenever there's a really straightforward answer and Oda says thank you for your postcard, it's sort of like a backhanded thing of like, this is a really obvious answer, but thank you for your postcard. But the reason that he did this, as we will see, is in the next question from Captain Nobuo, who is one of the frequent SBS question askers. And he says, Sanadachi, give me all of your Nami figures. So these guys have this like rivalry where they keep writing in questions about each other. And Oda's like, whoa. Who do you think you're talking to? You can't just like talk to him through me, and especially not for like a dirty question. And the picture here is of a one of the Nami Wano figurines, where she's in a very scantily covering kimono. And he says, look, I was just having this nice wholesome conversation about Nami's past, and you're talking about Sanada. So guess what? I am not going to put any of Sanada's questions in here. That's a promise for me. I'm not going to put any of them in here. So the next question, of course, is from Sanadachi. And he says, please give me the towel that Nami used in the bathhouse. And Oda says, get out of here. Get lost, Sanada. Officer, over here. He's over here, officer. So,
okay.
There you go.
At least the cops got him.
Yeah. Let's hope.
That's, yeah.
And the final question here is, sorry for this. This is a weird question, I know, but as the sole feminine member of the Akazaya 9, does Okiku does she always go into the bath by herself? And this is from Crybaby Kyoshiro. And Oda says, oh, not at all. She goes in with the rest of them. I mean, she's known them since she was a kid. So it's kind of classic Japanese. If you know them well enough, you bathe with them. It's no big deal. So there you go. All of the bathhouse questions have been answered
on one page.
That was the whole thing, wasn't it? Well, except for that orange question, but that was a setup.
Yeah, that was largely a setup. The next SBS we have, this is a really cute one. It is Child Hiyori with Kawamatsu, and they seem to be cavorting with, I guess these are loaches, which are the catfish-like fish, because one of them is doing the loach scoop, the dojo sukui, which is the dance where you scoop the basket up.
Oh, okay.
So they're having fun there. It's very cute.
I know loaches from Animal Crossing, and that's what's important.
Oh boy, yeah. And this whole SBS. So this is like the big question. This is the informative question of this volume. So Odachi, here's my question. So we got Shimotsuki Yasuie, Shimotsuki Ryuma, Shimotsuki Kozaburo, Shimotsuki Ushimaru. All of these people with Shimotsuki names, do these have a connection to Shimotsuki Village, Frost Moon Village, where Zoro grew up, and to his teacher Koshiro? And then there was that thing about how Zoro said when he was a little boy that he learned Sunachi from the old man at the village. And you mentioned in the SBS in volume 92 that they had come to East Blue. And so Oda says, yes. Well, see, the thing is, if you think about it and you kind of imagine, you can sort of piece together how these things all work out. But allow me to explain. I'll fit it in together. This is the general story of Shimotsuki Kozaburo, who was the katana blacksmith and swordsman. And there's like a little silhouette which kind of looks a little bit like Zorojuro with his hair tied back. But we will see. And there's like a little flow chart here. So this is what Kozaburo, the oldest member of Shimotsuki that we know of, did. he first he created Enma, and he gave it to the heir to the Kozuki clan, Oden, as a present. And then 55 years ago, he headed out to sea, and he had a great big adventure with the samurai of Wano. Then he landed, he or they, it's not clear. He landed in a place in East Blue, where he saved some people from bandits. Then he was teaching the villagers how to use the swords, and he fell in love. So he decided to settle down there and create a village, which was Shimotsuki Village. Then he had a son, Koshiro, and then a granddaughter, Kuina. So there you go. So in other words, the old man from the village that Zoro had interacted with is none other than the Shimotsuki Kozaburo of Wano. Wait, does that mean Zoro's lineage is ... That is all. That's all for today. As far as the story of Shimotsuki Kozaburo, the samurai who created Shimotsuki Village. Bang. So
wait. So
boy.
his teacher was the son of the guy
who forged
left.
Odin.
Yes. Who forged Enma.
Enma, yeah.
And who left.
But do we ever see the I'm trying to remember Zoro's flashback. We never see his father. We never see that guy, right? Kozaburo?
No. Right. That's why this came out of nowhere when Zoro was talking about, I just learned it from the old man at the village. Sunach, the Sunach. Yeah.
Presumably he was he wasn't in the flashback, so he might have been dead by that point.
I think that solidifies the fact that we're in all likelihood getting another Zoro flashback of some sort.
Yeah.
I'd assume.
If not a flashback, then we're definitely going to get some
little snippets.
Yeah, some surprise answers and things
about. I'm fine with that since Zoro's flashback is short.
Very
very short. Well, and if he manages to bring in some kind of surprising connections or to make it worthwhile to the story that we're actually seeing play out in Wano, then that would be super cool.
Agreed.
And I don't know, maybe something more than just like this is why Zoro gets to have the special sword.
I kind of hope he's not blood related to Wano, but let's see.
I don't know.
Please no Wano parents.
We'll see.
Yeah. At least according to this, it only says that Kozaburo had Koshiro as a son and then Kuina as a granddaughter. So, but
it sounds like all the rest of the Wano people went back to Wano afterward,
or maybe some of them settled down in this village, and he was just kind of the elder, and so maybe one of those other people was Zoro's parent. Or
it always seemed like he was. It always seemed like he was an orphan. We never saw any parents.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to think, Stephen, if you could recall a time when Oda has telegraphed. I think he has. I'm just trying to remember. Telegraphed kind of a flashback like this, and then actually done the flashback. I think Odin's flashback actually might be the best example. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure either.
He might have said something about Sanji. I don't remember, honestly. 96
volumes
of SBSs. It's a lot.
Yeah. It just seems a little unusual. That's why I brought that up. Yeah.
So we will move on to the next one, which the header here is a very kind of cutesy chibi version of Sabo riding on the crow, the giant crow, which we now know was from Karasu, the Revolutionary Army officer. And the first question, this is kind of one that is for like old school Jump people, I suppose, because this person is saying, Odachi, is Shinobu's character based on Jane? And there's some pictures here of character from a different series. And what it says, oh, you think so? I didn't notice this until partway through myself. So originally his idea for Shinobu, I'm gonna get to he will explain what this is, who Jane is. But originally my model for for Shinobu was the comedian and actress Naomi Watanabe, which I'm not sure how many people are aware of her, but she's she's a very funny. She's kind of similar to I'm trying to think like a Melissa McCarthy type. Like very, very big actress and very demonstrative. Like she's just incredibly funny, like physical actor, does amazing faces. She's very well known in Japan. So yeah, she's definitely fits Shinobu's present day character.
Huh.
But he continues.
Last year she was on an episode of Queer Eye Japan.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know there was a Queer Eye Japan.
I don't know that either.
So he said, yeah, I was drawing it based on her, but then part way through, after a while, I realized, wait, I've seen this kind of character before. It seems familiar to me. And then I remembered that it was, my Shisho, my art master, one of his, the people that he worked as an assistant for, Masaya Tokuhiro, which I believe was the first of the 3 that he worked with, if I'm remembering correctly. It was a character from his manga, King of the Jungle, Tar-chan, or Tar-chan, Jungle no Ojo Tar-chan, the famous character Jane. And it is a very similar, like when Jane was young, she was supposed to be pretty too. So he has this comparison where she looks a lot like Shinobu, where she's drawn very exaggerated, very wide face, huge like facial features. And then there's like the more conventionally pretty younger busty version. And he's like, and then when I realized that, I was like, oh my God, that's exactly her. I just completely ripped her off. So that's what Oda's thought process is about that. So that's kind of interesting. I've heard of that series, but I've never actually read it myself. I believe that was like an early 90s or maybe late 80s series.
It's a good example of how there's a lot of stuff in the manga that completely go over our heads in the references. And yeah, because like I know like reasonably you'll be like, why would he make this choice? And it's like, oh, well, I guess he's referencing 80s manga or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the next question, this is another informative one. So it turns out that, we found out that Kawamatsu is not actually a kappa. He is a fishman. What kind of fishman is he then? And Oda says he is a tiger pufferfish, but he insists that he is a kappa. So let's just say that he's a kappa. So there you go. We'll respect his wishes. And the last one is this is great. I'm glad he didn't give up on the sword personifications.
Oh yeah.
Reader
Jesus.
says, Odachi, Brooks, I want to see the Gijinka, the anthropomorphized version of Brooks' Soul Solid. I think that it would be nice if, like Mihawk's sword, it was a woman, because I think Brooke would love for his sword to be a woman. And he said, and Oda says, "Woman, gotcha." And so then he draws her, and it's predictably, this is actually not as ugly, but it's very much like a kind of like creepy old hag, especially because he drew her with the sort of like ghostly will-o'-the-wisp hair that's like floating up, but she's going like "Shakura." She's like making menacing sounds as Brooke slices with her. So that's pretty good.
I love all the personifications.
Yeah, they're pretty great. Yeah. And then the next, so over the next 2 SBS pages, this is the kind of the big clearinghouse of Oda's sketches for the this is actually, it started up by someone asking about this is from 420 Land, but he was asking about a character from the flashback. I guess this is from Roger's crew. It is the guy with the white hair, or the light colored hair, and it's like long hair, and he's got a ponytail tied up high on the back of his head. And he's like, "What's this guy's name?" And Oda says, yes, that was one of the Roger pirates. Well, I got a lot of questions about all the members of the Roger Pirates. But I have all these rough, drawings, sketches of all of the major members. So I'm just going to like throw them all out here over these next two SBS pages to show them off to you. Don't worry, you don't need to know their names. So yeah, we have a whole bunch of characters here, and I haven't gone through and like decided on spellings, so I'm just going to be kind of like going off the top of my head here, just reading them off in the katakana. But on the first one of these pages, I guess I'll start in the upper left, since that is where we have Gold D. Roger, and next to him, Silver's Rayleigh. And then kind of in the middle, there's the big guy with huge torso and very skinny legs. And this guy is named Captain Mugran. I don't know. I might have to. That's captain is in like a Navy captain, like not a pirate captain. So I might change his name to like Colonel Mugran or something, just to make it clear, since otherwise that might be confusing. And then up in the corner, you have this Smee-looking guy with the stripy shirt, old-looking guy who's blue marine. And then the one that the reader was asking about is named Spencer. And then on the kind of middle row on the left, we have a little tiny person with big poofy hair, and that is Bankro. And then there is a guy with a long gun and a fancy feathery hat, and that is Pitamu. It's an odd name.
That's a very odd name.
Pitamu.
He kind of looks a little Peter Griffin-y, so
yeah, the body type a little bit.
Yeah.
On the right, I know we definitely saw this character, is the big old fishman with the halberd and the mohawk, and that is the fishman Samberu.
It's great because his mohawk just looks like a fish fin. So
yeah, totally.
I don't know, or his fish fin looks like a mohawk. I don't know which way it goes. Yeah.
And on the bottom row, we have some familiar faces. Ship Dr. Crocus, of course, with his trademark hair. Next to him, Scopper Gabon, the infamous and all-important Scopper Gabon, the linchpin of every theory, and in his extremely undetailed version here, clearly very important. The guy here, I love this guy with the jet. He looks like the moon. He looks like McDonald's Moon Man, and his name is Moon Isaac Jr.
Mac Tonight is
Mac Tonight. That's right. Yeah, Mac Tonight. Thank you, Ed. It's got the big old moon nose, but he has hair and a rapier.
This guy might be the One Piece guys.
Maybe. They just brought him home with them. And then in the corner we have Little Shanks and Little Buggy. But there's more. There's a whole other page of them. On the next one, we have at the top we have Lo Wing, who just kind of, I don't know, just kind of looks like a schlub to me. I like the guy to the right with the big old like black jacket. It looks like he has like studs on either on his gloves or on his shoulders or something. And this guy's name is Gandu. Kind of sounds like a movie villain's name or something. The up in the upper left corner, this kind of guy, the guy with the broken Viking helmet and the big old mace, is Mide Pine. And next to him with the fancy hat is Mr. Momora, which is funny. The guy next to him, Max Marks, something like that, who looks like a Hunter x Hunter character because he's got like as many lines on his face as on the rest of his body combined. It's pretty funny.
He's got an interesting mouth.
Yeah. The character with the long spear and the huge flowing hair is named Yamon. Maybe he's from Jamaica. The dude with the Hunter S. Thompson hat and the cigarette in the middle is Elio. On
That's a
the
great
far-
design.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
a
that
cool.
design.
That
Yeah.
guy looks cool. On the left, with the mop hair, the curly mop hair, is Jackson Burner, with a very long arm.
That's the most normal sounding of these. Well,
Yeah.
maybe. Spencer. Spencer's actually the most
Spencer's, yeah.
normal sound. Yeah. I grew up with a Spencer. Yeah.
Boy. The big galoot with no neck is Nosdan. And the guy who looks like he came right out of Karita Coliseum next to him is CB Gallon. And I really like this one on the far right with just the cloak where you can't see his arms and like the flaming hair is named Yui.
Very different. Yeah,
Yeah.
that looks like it's from a different manga. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Also with CB, maybe he's from Dressrosa. Maybe that's like
He
the thing
is,
that
yeah.
we're supposed to get. Yeah.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the bottom row here from left to right, we have Langram, who looks pretty cool, pretty menacing. Doringo, with the bat wings. And then there's Taro with the goggles. And then lastly, Popeye over here in the corner is Donkino. I love that. The captain's hat, the ship captain's hat, and the corncob pipe.
Perfect. Love it.
It's like the skipper from Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where he got lost to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. And then there is one more set of questions here at the very end. The SBS header on this one is kind of cool. It is this one came from China, and it is a depiction of Roger Whitebeard and Oden standing around a poneglyph and going SBS as they examine it. And so here we go. So the question is, Oda Sensei, I think Boss Kyoshiro is super, super cool. I love him. I want a figure. He's awesome. Thank you so much for bringing this character, bringing him to life. You've brought great joy to my life. I would love to know what his height and what his favorite food is. And but it's like, Kyoshiro, you like him, huh? You get it? That's cool. I mean, I really worked hard to come up with his design. I was very proud of this design. And I've gotten a lot of questions about the Akazaya 9. So I'm going to give you all of their heights and favorite food. And I'll throw in Shinobu and Izo just for kicks. So at this point, I'm going to need some listener participation here because I'm going to have a bunch of centimeter heights.
Oh boy.
And I'm going to need a listener, in this case would be Zach or whoever else has that link in the chat.
Let me get that up.
So that
I got it. You can go.
Okay.
So that we can convert these to our dumb American sensibilities.
Yeah, thank you. Because otherwise I would not be able to do this.
No.
Go ahead.
All right. We're going to find out just how tall all these samurai of Wano really are.
And they're all too tall.
So we will start off with Kozuki Oden, the man himself. He is 382 centimeters tall.
Yeah, that is 12 feet, 6.5 inches.
Totally normal. Totally normal.
Jeez,
12 and a half
I remember diving into a pool that was 12 feet deep.
Yeah, and his hair, you wouldn't even know he was there because his hair would just perfectly be parallel with the top of the water.
He would be
would
be on the monster team in Space Jam.
Oh my god. Which NBA star would he absorb the powers from?
I don't know. It's
Hakeem.
Yeah. Manute Bol. So his favorite favorite piece of food is
Let me guess.
Everything in Oden.
Got it. Nailed it.
And actually, we will see a pattern here. But Oda's comment at the very end of this is everyone pretty much likes one ingredient of Oden. So we're going to see a lot of these over the course of these characters. So second character is Kinemon. He is 295 centimeters.
Okay. That is 9 feet and 8 inches.
Well, that's modest.
Significantly shorter than.
Oh, how tall is Brooke? Because they're like the same height, I think.
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sounds about right.
It's 10 and a half with the afro.
Oh, well, afro. Yeah.
And Kinemon's favorite food is daikon radish. Kanjuro is 347 centimeters.
Okay, that's 11 feet 4.5 inches.
Yeah, he's real tall. And his favorite is cabbage roll. And I believe that is usually like cabbage around like fried pork or something like that.
Wow.
I would have been more surprised if he liked something in Oden.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Actually, let me see. Is this? This is still before, because the next chapter is the one where it is revealed that Kanjuro is the traitor. All right. Next character is Raizo, and he is 311 centimeters.
Okay, that's 10 feet 2.5 inches.
I would really like to know how wide.
Damn it! You stole my joke. I was going to say, is that wide or tall?
Yeah.
They call him the Chode Ninja.
So his favorite.
That's not a title.
I wasn't going to respond to that. His favorite food is gabo maki, which is a burdock root wrap, and that is usually wrapped in like slices of beef.
Of course, Goku's father wrapped in slices of beef.
Mm.
Oh no, that's Bardock. Sorry, not Burdock. Go ahead.
Well, that's what that was based off.
I'll take my leave.
Denjiro is 306 centimeters.
Okay, that's 10 feet 1/2 inch.
Okay, but how tall is Kyoshiro?
Yeah, that would be the thing.
With the hair.
We don't know that, fortunately.
No, we don't know.
But Denjiro's favorite is beef tendon, which, if you remember, that was the had a memorable appearance on Oden's loincloth in one of his dancing scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we have Kikunojo, who is 287 centimeters.
Okay, it's 9 feet 5 inches.
I believe it was Zoro who said, "Dang, you're huge."
Can't hide behind
it. Yeah, that's my favorite Zoro line. Yeah, those are the best.
And her favorite is shirataki, which is like clear. I want to say that is rice based noodles. It's kind of like vermicelli type noodles. Mm-hmm. Next is Kawamatsu, who is 271 centimeters.
Okay. 8 feet 10.5 inches.
That seems about right. He's definitely very squat in his style.
I bet Dogstorm is pretty tall.
Kawamatsu's favorite food is egg, but Dogstorm is 511 centimeters.
God.
Jesus Christ.
He is 16 feet 9 inches tall.
Okay, now we're talking about like buildings. It's a big dog.
Get him his t-shirt. Get him his t-shirt.
The big red dog, yeah.
Did we make that joke?
Yeah, we did. That was back in
Dogstorm. Dogstorm, the way too big dog.
Or something like that.
He tries to get in your bed and you're like, you're bigger than the bed. Get out.
Yeah. And his favorite food is chicken wing bone in.
Who's perfect? A good boy? Who wants a chicken?
Who wants a bone?
Yep. Cat Viper is 522 centimeters.
Holy crap. The cat's bigger than the dog. That's
17
really
feet
horrifying.
1.5 inches.
That's a
big cat.
That's a big cat.
Well,
that's a big cat.
You grow big when your favorite foods are lasagna and fish cakes.
By the way, lasagna, the best ingredient in oden.
Yeah. Oh,
in
yeah.
my opinion.
Well, the fish cake is definitely an ingredient. I think Oda had to throw that in there just so that he had the connection. But would you believe that is not the largest member of the Akazaya 9? Ashura Doji is 544 centimeters.
That's 17 feet 10 inches.
To be fair, Stephen, he is a mountain man.
Yes,
there's literally a mountain.
The mountain of a man.
Ashura Doji was a mountain of a man.
And yeah, he's the Bill Brasky. He's the guy you just see the shadow over everyone else at the end of the skit. And his favorite food is kinchaku mochi, which is it is a mochi that is wrapped in a like the fried tofu, like the brown fried tofu with a real thin layer of it, and they just wrap it around the mochi, and that is it's another
like in an inari.
Kind of, yeah, very similar. And then Shinobu, who is 180 centimeters.
Oh dear.
Is that like a normal amount?
she's 5'11".
She's still taller than me. By like
but
a
not
few
taller
inches.
than me.
Shut
up, Steve.
And her favorite food is hanpen, which is a sort of like processed. It's sort of like fish and other ingredients that are ground up into a paste, and then it's kind of pressed into these triangle shapes. So it's another kind of thing you rarely see outside of oden. And lastly, now this is really interesting. Izo, who we know is the brother of Okiku, is 192 centimeters.
6 foot 3.5 inches.
So that makes me wonder, like,
does being sent forward in time, although Ashura Doji,
is this like, is Wano like the island on Lost? Does it just make you grow bigger?
I believe it. I mean, like,
was that one of the qualities of the island from Lost?
I mean, it was weird. There was a lot of weird stuff that went on.
There was a lot of weird stuff. Yeah, I like the magnetic pull of Wano makes you taller.
Fish cakes.
And Izo's favorite is Gan Madoki, which is, oh man, where did this come? Oh, this was I remember explaining that as part of it was also the name of one of Oden's attacks, where the gun it's like fake duck, but it's basically just kind of like a tofu thing. But that in Oden's attack, gan was literally just gun. So it was gun.
By the way, Izo liking fake duck. He is a fake member of the Akazaya 9 because he just abandoned them. Never came back. Anyway, yeah, I'm a little hurt about that.
Yeah. So there you go. He says, yeah, it looks like everyone pretty much seems to like ingredients found in Oden. So a formative experience for sure. And lastly, for the SBS, we have a question about Queen the Plague. In volume 93, which is recently out in English, you can pick it up. He has his little song where he says, if I lose any weight, I forget, how did I translate this? I
don't have it yet. So.
It's like, if I lose too much weight.
Do you remember the chapter?
I don't remember the chapter.
I'll look around.
It is, let's see here. Actually, I think I have the chapter script.
I'm just curious because I want to hear Steven sing it.
Well, I can't sing it, but
why not?
It's let's see. Yes, that's right. Okay.
Sing.
He says, if I get any thinner, I'll steal all of your hearts. So I choose the way I am. I stay funky. So that was his song. So I want to see what happened if he actually got thinner. Please show me Queen when he's skinny. And so he draws Queen, and he basically looks exactly the same. I mean, he's still got the big ole the Fu Manchu like mustache.
The overalls and no shirt.
Yeah,
so it's like when Al Sharpton lost all that weight, and it's like that's too much weight.
Yeah, his cheeks are all sunk in.
Woke Steve up.
And Oda's like, yeah, some people they're just more lovable when they're bigger. So
Al Sharpton.
SBS. Yeah. See you next week, or see you next week. See you next volume. Let's try that. And
anything else in the volume? Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, sadly, unfortunately, a bunch of advertisements for things like the Marionette live attraction show, which is not happening right now. So, I
mean, we saw it, so that's what's important. Right?
Yeah. No. Yeah. They also printed the I guess they never put this in a book before, but they printed the little written message that Oda did about the Netflix announcement when that made news. So it's all of that, the promotional stuff that they did. They included that in this one.
Yeah, and we mentioned there's a lot of wrenches that are going to be thrown probably into future releases. We'll see.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that's it for volume 96 of the manga. I'm Oden, and I was born to boil.
Well, thank you for helping us stir that pot. I'm going to say that makes sense. Sorry. Yeah, I should leave the bad puns to Steven here, since he makes them good.
Did Ed hiss at Zach?
What? No.
I just heard white noise. It sounded like someone hissing at Zach's
I mean,
joke
that would
there.
not be. I heard that too. It would not be unreasonable. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, thank you, Stephen, for doing what you do best and taking us through volume 96. Do we have a release date for volume 97?
No. Well, we have I think three chapters right now from.
No, I know, but sometimes they give a date way in advance. I know, so I was just yeah.
I don't think so.
So yeah, well, we'll see. I'm sure that'll be who the hell knows nowadays? I mean,
exactly.
Yeah. Let's take it as it comes, day at a time here. Let's move.
This is the double anime recap for episodes 928 and 929. I'm your host Sam, and today with me we have our good friend Jill in Disturbed Chill.
Hi Sam, it's good to be back on. It's been a bit, I think.
And there's a non-zero chance that Brian Newton will just pop in when he's good and ready, but we'll see what happens. The first episode up on our docket is episode 928, The Flower Falls, the final moment of the most beautiful woman in the land of Wano. And the title card begins at 5 minutes and 14 seconds. So the ninjas, they are refusing to stop Orochi from killing Komurasaki. He's the boss of the country, so he kind of gets to do whatever he wants. So we're not going to stop him from killing even a famous Oiran. All the geisha are shocked that Orobi, the geisha that they've just met and have never seen before, is not actually one of them.
Yeah, that part's my favorite. They're like, oh, come to think of it, I've never seen this woman before in my life. It's so funny.
So the cool movie 5 music plays as like Brook in ghost form appears. And they're calling him the Gasha Dokuro, which I had to look up. It's basically that like giant skeleton you see in old like yokai art and stuff. In that one color spread that Oda did, where he had like Luffy and Pedro and Kara and Brook as like the giant ghost skeleton. That's a reference to the Gasha Dokuro, which they're referring to.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah,
in the subtitles.
I've seen that in games. I've just never like knew the name for it, so that makes sense.
Yeah, if you just look up classic
There he is.
yokai. Yeah, I know. Sorry. You just look up classic like yokai, Japanese demons. This arc specifically is filled with references like that.
Nice. I'm glad Brooke has another time to shine as a ghost. That's great.
Everyone's freaking out. Otoko has a very funny like reaction shock, like passing out. She's still doing that laughing and smiling even when she's clearly distressed thing that she does. And so up in the rafters in the ceiling, we have the ninjas confronting Shinobu and it's a ninja confronting Shinobu and Nami. It's a ninja named Hanzo, who seems to recognize Shinobu from the past, kind of recalling her as this young, beautiful woman who is known as the Man Killer. And we get a little flashback of like a young Shinobu, just like gently caressing men's faces and like making them fall in love with her and then attacking them. But he insults her by saying like, "Okay, you're definitely not her. You are much too old and not hot enough." So Shinobu responds with the Ninpo Ball Crusher. Just like chucks a bouncy ball and it hits Hanzo right in the nuts.
I don't remember this in Naruto. I'm confused.
I mean, Naruto did have like the butt poke thing.
I mean, that's true. That is true.
And impromptu, Shinobu calls this the Ninpo Paralysis Jutsu. And Nami has a moment of, "You just made that up."
It's the real Man Killer.
So they're falling from the ceiling into the banquet room, like falling on top of Orochi's head. I noticed Panda Man in the crowd, like giving a peace sign to the camera. And Kyoshiro, the Yakuza boss, is stepping in. And he's talking to Komurasaki, like, "Oh, you shouldn't have done this, Komurasaki. You shouldn't have started trouble." And he asks her, "Are you ready?" And she looks at him and says, "I am." So clearly they're in on something together. Which brings us to the eye catch of the episode. The first eye catch, the music the music is continuing to bleed into it. Like they don't do the specific eye catch music. They just kind of let the soundtrack keep going, which is cool. And when we come back, we get the big scene of Kyoshiro, big animated, very slowly drawn out, but like very well animated, as Kyoshiro cuts Komurasaki down and like it's kind of not like, it doesn't look like proper blood. It looks a little purple, but he slices her open. Blood goes everywhere. Orochi's upset, and Kyoshiro's kind of rationalizing his actions, like, "Hey, she crossed the Shogun, so she should die." And rather than taking his anger out on Kyoshiro, the man who just killed her, Orochi starts chasing Robin and Toko, blaming Toko for the fact that Komurasaki's now dead, because if she had not laughed at him, this whole scene wouldn't have happened.
Yes, that's clearly how blame works. Blame the child. That's accurate.
Blame the young girl too.
Right.
Less.
Yeah, blame the easiest person to kill, basically. And so chaos is happening. Robin has got Toko and they're running, and Nami summons Zeus and launches a big lightning bolt, and like the whole group of our good guys, they kind of bundle up together and fly away on Shinobu's kite.
Sometimes I forget that Nami just has a part of Big Mom's soul as a pet. Then he just appears. I'm like, oh, that's right. There he is.
I love
It's
Zeus.
ridiculous.
And we come back to Udon Prison, and it's a scene with Hyo and Luffy. Kid has escaped, which is a very weird thing to have happen off screen. And then we come back to the adventures of Olin, who's being fed by Saru. And Suru's given her a red bean soup, which in the manga we would know as oshiruko. And Tama's suggesting using Big Mom's strength to break Luffy out of prison, and Chopper's like, "What? No, that's ridiculous." But they talk him into it. Chopper has to kind of like tiptoe over to Big Mom and try to ask her for his help. And Big Mom's first thought is just to put her hand out, paw, like he's a dog.
That was great. That whole scene is so good.
Yeah, and they begin the running joke of Big Mom kind of like looking at Chopper like he's food.
Love it.
Even though she's supposed to be like kind of friendly and childlike and harmless, but she's still extremely dangerous.
It's also a callback to how Luffy first viewed Chopper.
Yeah. Right, and Sanji, the emergency food supply.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tama is trying to grease the wheels, and she's telling Big Mom, it's like, oh, Udon's lead performer also has a lot of red bean soup. And the episode ends with Big Mom agreeing to the plan and giving like a big smiley thumbs up, which is adorable. To be continued.
Olin is a treasure in every scene that she's in.
The next episode is 929, The Bond Between Prisoners, Luffy and Old Man Hyo. And we get a little bit of a pre-title card scene of like Kanjuro walking in the snow. Considering the things that we know now, like when I saw this, I was like, oh, wait, what's this? I'm trying to recontextualize everything.
Yeah, a lot of this scene, I was like, this is interesting now.
I don't want to spoil too much for the non-reading audience, but in the back of my head, for this entire sequence, I'm just like, boo, boo.
Right. Yeah.
So the title card of this episode begins at 2 minutes and 52 seconds, which is incredibly... it's very brief on recap. And so the plan, I guess, is that Kanjuro, he's looking for the 5-colored rice that supposedly Shinobu has left out as like a sign that like, hey, this is where we're hiding out. And he's reconvening with the group who was just at the castle. Nami, Robin, Brooke, all them, Toko. And they're talking to Kanjuro. Kanjuro doesn't recognize Kyoshiro's name. So this big, powerful Yakuza boss who's in charge now, he's not somebody that anybody knew from back in the day. Because the old Yakuza boss was a man named Hyoguro the Flower, who was sort of this kind of idealistic, tough guy, but like always stuck his neck out for the weak, and was full of honor and strength and all that fun stuff. And so the women, they all start planning to go take a bath. And they're like, okay, that sounds like great. We need a time to relax for a moment.
Obviously this happened in the manga too, the whole bath thing, but it felt so much more like pushed in the anime. I was like, oh, we're making plans. What if we just, we feel dirty, let's go take a bath? And I was like, okay, this feels way more out of left field in the anime than it did in the manga.
I think it's because we know that it's leading to like a certain scene, so it feels a little. Yeah. You feel the contrivance a little bit.
Anticipation, yeah.
Yeah, but also considering who's suggesting that also weighs a different sort of connotation to why that was suggested.
Yeah.
Oh, now that I think about it, yeah.
Huh.
That's
exactly. Yeah, and I think it's. I have to reread it. I think it might be the same in the manga as well.
Huh.
Yeah. I'll look it up. I didn't get a chance to double check that. But I was
because I had not thought about that. Okay. So yeah, they're planning for a bath. Robin's ashamed about her lack of information and then proceeds to list all the information that she did get, which is just abundant. It's just very specific, very diligent. Kanjuro is just amazed at how efficient she is. But clearly she feels like she could have done more. And Brooke mentions that he found a poneglyph, but not the red one that they're looking for. So
remember back in the day when finding a poneglyph would have been like, oh my god, guys, this is it. We found a poneglyph here on this island. And now it's like a side note. Be like, oh, it's not the one we're looking for, but it's down in the basement when we get a chance.
Yeah, I want to see this one, and I want to see those wooden dolls that he mentioned as well.
Yes, that's going to be creepy, I assume. So I'm excited.
Yeah, because he like mentioned that, but we didn't see the dolls. It was like an episode or two ago.
Yeah.
Right, he just had a reaction, and then we never saw what he saw.
Yeah. So Sanji now in this other group, he's very sad about Komurasaki. And then about 2 seconds later, he notices his raid can and starts thinking about all the terrible things he can use his new invisibility powers for. And the whole running joke of the scene is Sanji just like takes every little thing as a reason to think about the women's bath.
I mean, I'll complain about them going to the women's bath, but I'll be honest, this whole scene with Sanji was so funny. Like every moment that he brought it up, I was like, oh, that's good. It was just good comedy timing on all of it.
Agree. And Usopp and Frankie's reaction to his obvious pervertedness.
Yeah, they're like trying to beat him up for it, and then like the door gets broken down, and just some kids from the street just like run in and like start playing with the raid can.
Right? Like that's just a can. What are those kids doing? I guess they have nothing to play with.
Kick the can. You can play that. And we come back to the Big Mom pirates who are hanging out down in the water just outside of Wano. And the main faces here are Perospero, Smoothie, Flampe, Daifuku. They're all kind of talking amongst themselves. Perospero, he's kind of ready to give up on Big Mom. He's like, all right, we can just become the Perospero pirates now. But Daifuku is repping for Katakuri to be the new leader, and there's a big argument about the strongest versus the oldest. But Smoothie's like, shut up, come on. Don't give up on our mom that quickly.
I'm over here like, is Flampe really that good that they're like inviting her to this fight? Like, we saw her try to take out Katakuri and. Well,
they gotta get like a mix of everyone between people hanging out back at home and.
Oh, I actually think the reason why she's there is because remember her role in the Big Mom Pirates. She's everyone's favorite little sister.
Right.
So she says, yes.
Yes, so she says.
Well, who's the new object of her affection now? If she's given up on Katakuri, like who is she trying to impress now? Like Smoothie?
Smoothie would make the most logical sense.
Right, because it's definitely not going to be any of the other older brothers. None of them are cool.
You don't think Daifuku's cool? He's got the genie weenie.
Listen, Big Mom loves all her kids, just not the ugly ones.
God. So we've got Big Mom and company riding on something called a Sharkodile, which they have tamed because Big Mom got 2 good hits on it, and it's got big giant welts on its head. Friendly old Olin still using that monster strength to
make friends.
Yeah, make quote unquote make friends. So we have Tama who's talking to Hitetsu on the snail, the smart snail, and Hitetsu's he's a little frustrated, but he's assured that with Okiku there, who's kind of helping him out. And I noticed that in Hitetsu's scenes, the little tanuki pot, like. There's that joke that like Oda was sad nobody picked up on, which is that the little pad that the tanuki has been like standing on this whole time is just its ball sack. And the anime gets a good insert here where like something startles the tanuki and it like rolls over on its back, and you can see that the pad is like still like right. It just goes to its crotch. It is its ball sack.
Oh God, I don't know. Ball jokes are always so funny.
We had 2 in just 2 episodes.
Some Pompoko stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the scene about the battle cry Sunachi, which Momo is yelling because Zoro told him about it, saying that it's some word that pumps you up, it gives you energy. And Okiku is kind of surprised to hear this, and she forbids Momo and Tama from saying it. Tama's also like getting really excited about it. She's like, "Yeah, Sunach, I feel it. I feel the energy." But Okiku is playing mom here and being like, "No, no means no. Don't say that word. It's not appropriate." It just sounds like it's like a dirty word or something.
I liked how, I don't know, this scene was really good because they felt like kids and a mom who was like, "No, I'm not going to explain it to you. You just can't say it. I don't care if you think it's cool." I thought that was a really good scene.
Yeah, and we have kind of an extended sequence of Okiku kind of mapping out the geography of Wano. I can't remember if the anime has like made the Wano map clear yet. She's basically
this might have been the first time. I mean, it was really the first time in the manga as well.
Yeah, and we're getting kind of an overview of all the different regions, some of which we've seen so far, and just sort of pointing out like, okay, this is where this character was, and then they moved here, and now this character is over here, and this moving over here, and now we're here, and we're going to move over to this udon that's over here. It's like it's kind of confusing. And Big Mom still looking at Chopper like food, and that brings us to the eye catch of the episode. And when we come back, we're back in prison. And Luffy is working out. He's lifting some big, like, hammer stone pick thing that I guess normally it would be like lots of men have to like lift it and use it together. But Luffy's using it all by himself, which impresses Hyo. And Luffy kind of mentions like, "Oh yeah, I'm training. I'm getting strong. I'm gonna be the one who fights Kaido." And this is when we are introduced to the Alpaca Man, who is just like spitting on Luffy and being like, "Oh, you know that Thoth Kid guy, right?"
Is so much worse in the anime. The color of that spit.
It's like kind of yellowish and gross.
Almost gagging.
I know it was made a joke on the podcast that the Alpaca Man will probably sound like a David Spade, but it almost felt like it was the Japanese equivalent of a David Spade in this.
Yeah.
And we also meet Daifugo, the Scorpion Smile user. And he's picking on Hyo. He's also looking for like accomplices and wanting to learn about like what's up with Yusa's kid. And he's picking on Hyo. Hyo's trying to protect all the dango that Luffy's been giving him because Luffy's been handing him all those like food tabs so that he could eat. And Hyo he's even eating it when it's been like falling in the dirt, and he's trying to protect it with his life because Luffy gave it to him, and he's like, I gotta respect. I gotta appreciate that act of kindness.
Definitely reminds me of Zoro back in Shelltown.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so Daifugu's just like stepping on Hyo over and over again, and the episode wraps up. Like Luffy, he's still being spit on by the Alpaca Man. Like their conversations, like still going, undeterred. But then like Luffy looks over, he sees Hyo getting beat up, and he starts to get real serious. He starts walking towards the scene like he's gonna start some shit. But like the whole time, like even as it's getting really serious, they're still just like the Alpaca Man's just still spitting on him. And then that brings us to the end of the episode. To be continued. General thoughts on these two episodes, you guys?
I really enjoyed them. I thought they were well paced. The animation was especially well in the first one when Komosaki gets cut down. I thought it was such a gorgeous scene. I really actually liked it in like more slow motion. It felt like very old school samurai movie. Even there was that one scene where just his sword is close to the tatami mats, ready to get like arced into her. I thought that was just really well done. Sorry, hold on. So I really like the comedy that was in these episodes. I thought the whole scene with Sanji and the bathhouse was just, or the scene where he's thinking about going to the bathhouse. Every single moment that he's just cuts in their conversation. He's like, the bathhouse, it could be invisible, and you could just see him like coming to this decision in his mind. I thought that was really good. And there was just some little things in these episodes I really enjoyed. That that last with Otama's talk to her master. I can never remember his name. Hitetsu?
Yes.
Yeah. That last literal shot of him where he just screams off into the ceiling.
Yeah, he's so
frustrating. Yeah, it's just like a little scene, and I'm like, oh my god, I feel you, dude, because I cannot believe that they're like, as an adult, I can't believe these children are going around with this like amnesiac woman they found to go rescue someone from a prison. But yeah, I really liked these episodes. I thought they were really fun.
Right.
I definitely agree with Jill on the previous episode. It was like very well animated, and even the episode before that was also very well done. So there's been a string of like decently paced and like very well animated episodes, and not even just the fact that because we all expect it when there's a big action sequence, they're going to put their turbo directors on it, but like the shot choices were also very effective about conveying the idea. That's why like the cutting down of what's his Kumurasaki felt so much like very much like Japanese samurai cinema. I think that was 100% intentional. The gags with Olin constantly looking towards Chopper. She's not even just looking at him. She's also like looking at the audience because we know who she is and we know what's on her mind. So like Chopper's reaction to that is also just priceless. And the like Kiku with the kids, very 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 fun. It's interesting. I think I've said this on a previous episode of the anime is that the fact that the labor camp, the prison labor camp, is set during the day and just the washoutness of the backgrounds really is jarring because like in my head it's just kind of like it's oppressive, so thus oppression kind of feels like it's a dark area. But the fact it's so overly bright and with the color contrast of like was it Daifuku, the scorpion-headed dude?
Daifuku?
Yes.
Yeah, Daifuku.
It's confusing because Daifuku is also in this episode.
Right?
That's right, on the Big Mom ship. Yeah. I never want to get those guys confused because, they're so important. But like the color contrast of like these dark colors popping off this like very intensely bright background. It's like you can freeze frame an image of this and it feels very unique to not even just it feels very unique even for One Piece because the color contrast is so huge. I think that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I thought these episodes were solid. I think that I feel like pacing wise, I wish that each one could have had like a little bit more going on. That's mostly a carryover from like how drawn out I thought the episode before these two was, with sort of the build up to Orochi and Komurasaki kind of facing off. I think the key scenes are all very entertaining and engaging to watch. I really like Komurasaki and Kyoshiro. I really liked the Straw Hats kind of jumping back and forth between the castle and outside the castle and kind of regrouping and I really like I really like seeing Okiku playing that like mom role. I feel like she kind of falls into it really well. I feel like that's mostly what I have to say. When we get to the end with like Luffy, he's like ready to kick some ass. Like that's like I wish he was kicking ass in this episode. I think is kind of what my main problem is. Yeah, like we all know what's gonna happen. We don't have to like tease it out in a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I really like the same situation in the manga. I really like where that cliffhanger ended compared to how this anime ended. So I feel you on that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it's always weird to see like someone getting beat up and then Luffy slowly walking towards them. I'm like, okay.
All right. I think that should do it. You guys have anything else you want to say before we move on to the next segment?
No, I think I'm good.
I'm all right.
All right. Let's move on then.
All right.
This is the Piece Together segment, and it was born to answer your questions, comments, and theories. I did not know
born
where
to be
I was
over
going with
quickly
that.
this week.
Yeah, so we're going to do a very, very, very quick version of the Piece Together segment. We have one question in Discord. We're going to save that for next week, so do not worry. But we're going to do some Reddit, And since Steven has been talking a lot this episode, I am going to ask the questions. First one, Pink Chorizo says, hey there, OPP, what arcs or parts of the anime would you recommend a manga-only fan like myself? Bear in mind that I tried to jump into the anime a couple times, wasn't able to bear the pacing from episode to episode, but now that I have more time than normal, I love me some anime bites. I'm thinking about watching specific fights, moments, or even filler arcs. Thanks for your work so far, and stay safe. Even a better time, by the way, since the anime has stopped, so you have a lot of time. Yeah, so anything come to mind for you guys?
Yeah, what's the drum arc?
I'd say Water 7.
Weird. I was thinking of rewatching Drum in the dub.
Drum is perfect,
least.
I think. Yeah.
I don't know, because I've been watching the anime with a friend who's experiencing the series for the first time, but it's, of course, we had to stop since the whole thing happened. But I don't know. I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch ahead. But I don't know. Now I'm kind of curious to go back and revisit some episodes dubbed because it's been a while. But is it?
I mean, Drum Island is the best answer, I think, since it's a self-contained story. It's like perfectly done, perfectly paced, in my opinion, and outstanding in most regards, if not all regards. And it will make you weep, even if you know what's going to happen. I mean, I think if you're looking for like fights or moments, I think that episode, Usopp versus Luffy episode, is super well done. That's probably one of my favorite episodes of the anime. And I think Robin's flashback might be one of those rare examples of something done better in the anime because of the voice actress who is an actual child. I think that that brings me to tears every time I watch it, without fail as well. So it depends if you want to just weep, because that's my recommendations here. Any other thoughts? Falcon Gales has our second of 3 questions. To those of you who watched the latest episode, what do you think of some of the color palettes for Daifugo? Oh, I did see that. And the ones for Babanuki and Solitaire seen in the episode preview. I mean, Babanuki's elephant is like a mustard yellow. Why?
What?
God, it's like canary yellow.
I have not seen this yet.
I haven't seen that yet either. The color palettes in Wano generally are kind of insane, which is, I'm sure Oda influenced. Yeah.
I like it though. I like that One Piece is like, no, like characters aren't just going to have black hair. Elephants aren't just going to be gray. I don't know.
Yellow.
It makes watching the anime pretty exciting. I guess we got Alpacachino down for the most part, but his face is colored in darker.
Oh, I kept meaning to repost that picture of Alpacachino, which is not his name. Alpaca Man, I think is his name. Really creepily walking behind Luffy, because I think it's the funniest fucking thing I've seen in my life.
But hey, give me the prize. I think I called the red stripes on his weird little his one tight. I got that.
What a weird specific.
Really? Wow. It's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know what prize I get, but
ATLA for life has our final question. What is your One Piece pet peeve? The one thing that you were just unable to suspend your disbelief for, and you notice every time it happens in the series. So for him, it's the massive height disparity between characters, especially in the most recent arc. I used to be able to ignore it, but now I feel I notice it all the time. It was hard for my brain to wrap around the idea that Katakuri was 4 times the size of Luffy, and they were fist fighting each other, or that Odin is 12 feet tall when Toki is normal sized, or that all of the scabbards are 10 feet plus tall. What an appropriate question here. Also, by the way, it's like if I fought Steve, it's same height disparity as Katakuri and Luffy.
It's
true.
It's 100% accurate.
100% accurate. He is 4 times my size.
The
really.
one thing, there's 2. One of them I'll save one because Zach might say this one.
Yeah, I know.
I think my biggest pet peeve, and it's been a problem since I think the time skip, is a portion of the plot being everyone running away from something. Even Whole Cake Island, as good as it was, had that kind of that lull of everyone running away from Big Mom to get to the ship. It's brutal. It's happened. It didn't quite happen in Fishman Island. No, it did happen in Fishman Island, except it was more so the citizens of Fishman Island running away because
the
Noah was going to come crashing down. And then Punk Hazard, everyone running away from the gas that doesn't actually kill you. Dressrosa, everyone running from the bird cage. And then Whole Cake Island, everyone running from Big Mom. Oda's gone to that well far too many times. It's dry.
Yeah.
Steven,
to go back to the height thing. I know that people were having a lot of fun with the like screenshots from Pirate Warriors 4 because in the Pirate Warriors series, for the most part, everyone is pretty much the same height. Like the character models are all generally the same size, and because they introduced Katakuri in this fourth game, he looks like when you see one of those fucking clowns on stilts walking around around people. There's just like a man who is 3 times as tall as everybody else, and it looks so unnatural.
Katakuri's like built kind of normally, actually, like, and he has the skinny, tall legs. That's why it's so surprising and difficult.
He's hip. He's cool. He's 50. He's wearing his leather pants.
That's
he's
true.
50 years old.
Look, I'm not denying that. But that's the problem. It's not so much that there is a height disparity among characters. It's that characters who shouldn't be tall and have no reason to be tall and don't look like they would be tall are secretly insanely tall. It makes no sense. And it is, look, I completely agree. It definitely takes me out of it sometimes. I think Katakuri is a great example. And Kinemon, a lot of the time I'm like, oh yeah, Kinemon's enormous. So
the thing is, I never notice it in the manga, and I feel like it's like Oda gets away with it because he can just draw whatever perspective he wants for, it doesn't matter like how tall the characters are. He'll make it work, or he'll do it in such a way. But whenever you remove it, it's sort of like an optical illusion when you move the camera to a different angle. Whenever you put it in a different way, like it's animated or in a video game where it has to be a 3D model, and then you can really get a grasp of like exactly how different they are, then it really seems ridiculous. But it never bothers me in the manga. It's weird.
Yeah, and the one I was going to say is Luffy getting stuck in things. Luckily, that was a pre-time skip thing more. I can't think of that happening except when Luffy ran down that well that was turned sideways in Dressrosa, which was so stupid.
Okay, yeah. That was the other thing I was just going to mention.
Yeah. I'm trying to like think if there was another example of that happening. Steve, go ahead, sorry.
Want him to have it.
Oh. Okay.
No, that one's Zach's, so I wanted you to
thank you.
Complain about it.
Yeah, no, I got to get stuck in one of those the Grand Arena tour, I think, that I went with Greg for One Piece Podcast Goes to Japan. So I got to get stuck in a Luffy chimney or the Zoro chimney or something. I don't know. But the thing is that hasn't annoyed me much recently because it hasn't happened recently. I think the running thing Steve had pointed out to me a little while ago, and ever since it's just like, ooh, yeah, that is really annoying. So I think
that's why I'm so glad that like right now in the manga we're going to Onigashima specifically to fight, and all of the civilians are back on Wano. So it's like, oh, thank God, we don't have to see a bunch of people running for safety.
Well, the little grunts, the runts, the whatever you want to call them, I'm sure we'll see some of that. But you're right. Dressrosa was like, that might have been one of the reasons why it was annoying to me, that arc is there's so much of that, and it's not like it hadn't happened a lot before. That's gonna do it for Piece Together. Unless Ed, you want to complain about anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, let's round off.
Okay.
This has been the One Piece Podcast, episode 617 for April 19th, 2020. Thank you all for coming on the show this week. On Patreon this week at patreon.com/One Piece Podcast, we have our One Piece Stampede commentary exclusive for patrons. And we will also have more Davy Jack fights and probably some other cool stuff. So subscribe if you haven't. We're really pulling out all the stops since we all have time to pull out all the stops. And I'll say, I don't know if or when we're doing this, but Steve, we're committing to doing an Animal Crossing episode of some sort of the One Piece Podcast for Patreon at some point, or at least just a Patreon exclusive of some sort. I don't know how or when.
The world of video game streaming is far bigger than you think it is.
What? So you're telling me people are able to? No, I'm not. I'm not even gonna fake get into this. Anyway, we might do that at some point on Patreon in the next few weeks. So keep an eye on that. I know I have logged at least 60 hours in like 10 days, so I have a problem. So how could the good people out there contact you guys, Steven?
You can follow me on Twitter at Translatosaurus.
I want to thank also at this point Brian and Sam. I think we're both on for the anime recap. I haven't gotten it yet, so I'm not sure. And also Jill, who joined us for our Stampede commentary. So check out all their good stuff. Sam's at Lucky Chainsaw, Brian's at Dark King Zoro, and Jill's at Piratus Unluck. So check them all out on Twitter. Steve, where can people find you?
You can find me hanging out on Twitter and Instagram. Steve Yurko is my name and username. Listen to me on other podcasts. Listen to me on The Deep End. Listen to me on Toon Suite. And watch Duncanville airing Sunday nights on Fox and next day on Hulu.
Ed, where can people find us?
You're Zach_Logan on Twitter. I'm Edward E. One Piece. I'm also at Weeb Trailers. Podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com. Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. Please subscribe on SoundCloud, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, or call us on our phone number. Zach?
Ed, that phone number is 347-497-MAJI.
Maji.
That phone number again, 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Anytime.
With your questions, your comments, and theories, or why Shutenmaru is a mountain of a man. Great episode again today, you guys. Thank you for sticking around for a later recording than we usually do. Not to break that wall. We'll return with trivia next week. Our manga recap of chapter 978, and we're told that is definitely coming back, right, Steven? Next week?
I have seen it. I have translated it.
Okay, so it's there. We know it exists. It exists in some way or fashion or form. So we will definitely see you next Sunday for that. And for the One Piece Podcast, everyone, my name is Zach.
My name is Ed.
My name is Steve.
And we also have Steven. Hi, Steven. Bye, Steven.
And my name is Steven.
Thank you. We'll see you next week, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Mahalo.
It means family. No, it doesn't.
All right.